everyone, this is Katie from the Breastfeeding Mama. I am an international board certified lactation consultant, and I thought I would try something new here on my channel where each month I will go through Instagram and Facebook and the YouTube comments and come to you with answers to your most burning breastfeeding questions. There's one thing I've learned from both being a mom and a lactation professional is that it is like the Wild West out there when it comes to breastfeeding support and questions. So my goal with this is to have a place where you can come and get answers to your questions and go away with confidence knowing that it is probably a good source of information. Before we get started, if you're new, go down to the description for this video and grab one of my awesome freebies. We have everything from the first year, a breastfeeding ebook, to pain-free latching, bottle guides, and everything in between. Go see what you want and grab it, and then come back here and see the answers to the questions I had. If you have questions for next month, drop them below and I will make sure to answer them next time. I'm just gonna dive right in. Here's the first question. Will the leaking on the opposite breast ever stop while baby nurses? Yes, I assure you it will stop. It usually is really intense those first few months as your body is learning to regulate your breast milk supply and it's not totally sure how much it's supposed to be making. Usually I find the first 3 months are the worst, and then after that it tends to tame down a little bit. Of course, you will still have those instances where you hear a baby cry and you will start leaking, or maybe you go a little bit longer than normal and then all that milk starts coming out, but it should get better. If you feel like it is not getting better though, reach out to a lactation professional to make sure that it's not like a major oversupply that you're going on, or if there's not another underlying condition. I do know that sometimes with fast letdowns, which aren't always associated with leaking, but sometimes they are, some people find that magnesium supplementation can help, so that's something you could talk to with your lactation consultant or another medical professional about. The next question, 3-month fussing at the breast, not eating as long as he used to, is this normal? It is normal as your baby gets older for them to have shorter feeds. In the beginning, we're going to be seeing feeds that are anywhere from 20 to 40 minutes long on average. As your baby gets older, they get more efficient. They're able to draw out milk more efficiently. So it isn't uncommon for your baby to go a little bit shorter. However, if you are noticing any signs that your baby is just not getting enough milk as they're going through this process, then that might be a sign to reach out to a lactation consultant or a medical professional to make sure that there's nothing else going on. You also mentioned that your baby is fussing a lot, which again, may or may not be normal. If it's all the time, I would definitely reach out. It could be something like an ear infection or a sore throat that can make it really difficult for a baby to feed. Your supply may have dropped a little bit. You may have your menstrual cycle coming back. If your baby's getting a lot of bottles, they might be getting a little bit more frustrated if they feel like the breast isn't fast enough or they're not able to get milk as quickly. However, it could also be a growth spurt or developmental leap. I highly recommend the app, The Wonder Weeks. It has a lot of great information, and you put your baby's due date in and it gives you information specialized to them and when you can expect these developmental leaps to happen. I find that it can be very accurate to those times when babies are more fussy. Going through this, I would just keep an eye on your baby's diapers, their overall demeanor, their weight gain, and make sure that nothing is falling off of the chart. Do skin to skin, try and keep things as low key as possible, change the scenario where you're feeding, go outside, distract your baby, and just get as much feeding in as you can. The next question is, what size bottles do I recommend? I do recommend grabbing my bottle guide, which is free and it's in the description for this video. But in general, I recommend just getting 5-ounce bottles. Those 8, even 12-ounce bottles out there, generally you don't need them. Most breastfed babies are going to be getting between 3 and 5 ounces per feed, and that tops out at about 6 weeks. You want to resist that urge to get the huge bottles to fill your baby up so that they go a really long time, because that's not really the goal with breast milk, to make them go as long as possible. So usually I recommend getting 5-ounce bottles, and that's usually a good place to start. This question is about weaning, which is one of my favorite topics. I find that the support for breastfeeding gets worse the older your baby gets, so I love talking weaning. This mom is wondering if there is ever a time that a baby just truly loses interest and stops breastfeeding on their own. And I will say that some babies do, especially if they were more bottle fed, if they had a lot of formula, maybe if they're really into solids. Sometimes we will see babies just totally stop breastfeeding. I sometimes see this around the 15-month mark where they start to be a little bit less interested. Maybe they're just more curious about the world around them. But in general, most babies and toddlers don't just decide one day that they're going to stop breastfeeding. I find the older they get, the harder it gets, because it becomes more ingrained as part of their daily routine and something that they really count on. Yes, there are some babies that will just be like, okay, I'm done, and that's that. But in my experience, the older your baby gets, the more attached they get to breastfeeding. And that's not to say that you shouldn't breastfeed past 1. I'm a huge proponent of toddler breastfeeding, but just be aware that usually with weaning, if you want to be done, you're probably going to have to put in a little bit of the work and help your baby manage those emotions from weaning. My weaning class is really helpful. You can sign up for it in the description. It has lots of information on different types of weaning, how to start it, and I highly recommend it. Even if you're not in the weaning phase yet, it's a great resource. So this next question, the mom has been strictly breastfeeding her 7-month-old. She never gave the baby a bottle, but now she wants to switch to formula and her baby is refusing the bottle. This is a very common scenario and it is really hard. I work with bottle refusal on a regular basis. However, after a certain point, I do find it a lot more difficult to introduce a bottle. Before about 5 months or so, babies that are refusing the bottle aren't doing it behaviorally. It's more because they can't take the bottle. There's something going on in their mouth or in their body making it difficult for them to take the bottle. They don't know the cause and effect that if they wait long enough that you'll eventually give the breast. However, with babies that are a little older, so 6 months plus, they can start to have those preferences and totally refuse the bottle. And at this point, I actually will recommend either using an open cup or a straw sippy cup. So there are things like the Honey Bear cup, which I will put in the description below. That can be awesome because it's a straw cup that you can easily squeeze and help get the milk into your baby's body. And then there's other straw cups out there, but an open cup is an awesome option as well. You can try different bottles if you feel like you really need your baby to take a bottle, but it is going to take a lot more work. And you can try it, just keep offering it and see if eventually they'll take it. But because their suck reflex is probably integrated at this point, it's a lot harder to try and get your baby to take a bottle. Of course, if there is underlying issues like a tongue tie or other tension in their body, that's something that you could address as well. But usually at this age, it can be hard to introduce a bottle. So sometimes it can be easier just to skip to that straw cup or that open cup. And the last question is, any tips for nursing strikes? Nursing strikes are so hard. I was just telling my friend the other day that nursing strikes are some of my least favorite consults, not because I don't want to help the families, because I do, but because it is hard to overcome it very quickly. We don't usually fix it right that second, especially once your baby starts to get older. The biggest tips that I will give you: do lots of skin to skin and try different ways of feeding, try different positions, like maybe side lying or nursing in the dark or going outside. Baby wearing can be awesome. Standing and latching or sitting on like an exercise ball and bouncing can be helpful. Depending on the age of your baby though, it's going to be different. Sometimes it's a nursing strike just because your baby's teething and maybe they're uncomfortable or they're just distracted and they're going through a developmental leap and they don't want to nurse as frequently. In these situations, and honestly with any nursing strike situation, you want to keep things as calm and laid back as possible, which I know can be hard, but try and keep things calm. If your baby doesn't want to nurse, just say, okay, that's fine. Let's stop for a second. Let the baby play or do whatever they want. Maybe go outside with them, change things up, and then try again in a little bit. You really want to capitalize on those times when your baby is a little bit tireder or maybe that they are in a little bit more calm mood. Sometimes through those nursing strikes, you really just have to focus on those times when your baby is sleepy. And so just try and keep things calm. And then also work with lactation consultants. We do see nursing strikes or breast refusal in older babies because they do have underlying issues like a tongue tie. They get to the point where they are sick of being okay with being uncomfortable. So sometimes that can manifest later on if they have oral restrictions with breast refusal. Teething is uncomfortable. Going through a new developmental leap, like crawling, can really take a lot of energy from the baby, and sometimes they will refuse the breast. So again, keep things calm and keep offering the breast as much as you can. If you feel like the baby isn't stimulating the breast, make sure you're pumping so your supply doesn't drop. But I find that a lot of those babies that refuse the breast or go through nursing strikes are the ones that are hardest to wean later. Keep trying and reach out for help if you need it. Those are all the questions I have for today. If you have any other ones that you want me to answer next month, drop them below and I will make sure to include them. Otherwise, be sure to check out Fuss Free First Year. It's more than just a class. It has all of my videos and all my troubleshooting tips, my ebooks, my meal plan, but it also has a community aspect where you can ask questions and I will answer them throughout the week. And we do have a live support group that you can join in as well occasionally. So that is in the description below. Otherwise, hit the subscribe button. Let me know if you like this type of video and I will make sure to do it more in the future. We'll see you next time.